One day, two gamers asked the question, why are video games so dang difficult? Today, on episode 40 of season 2, Sid and Trey answer the question of why video games are hard. And now, here's Sid and Trey.
You see, I know exactly where the lie is because we never actually answer the question of why video games are hard. That's the lie.
Well, yeah, I don't know why video games are hard. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have, you know what? So Trey and I are here.
What's up, everyone?
Finalize the intro. We have Lego as a guest.
Hello.
Yeah, we thought he'd be an excellent introer, as he has shown in his bingo commentaries. And we told him, you got to meet your quota. You got to say the name of the pod, say the episode number, and tell one lie.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, and he said,
well, if you have to tell one lie, then it should be like 3 truths and a lie or something, right? Where you're actually setting it up with multiple statements.
Yeah,
and the viewer has to suss out which one's incorrect.
That's pretty.
And
saucy.
we'll post it in the comments below. Which one?
Yeah, you cement the base with one truth that everybody knows. Like Trey plays Dark Souls. And say something like that, and then everybody's just leans forward and goes yeah, okay, this is true. And then you say something else true, like, oh, Sid has never played Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. It's like, oh, yeah. And then say a third thing that everybody trusts because you have 2 truths already, but it's a lie. But I don't know what that lie would be.
That we answer the question of why video games are hard.
Yeah.
Like I already said it.
But we don't do that.
Because we never, in all 90 episodes, if you include season 1, we never really answered that question.
No.
Well, I guess we have. The whole idea is that no matter how easy a game is supposed to be, it might be like a Hello Kitty game, you can make it hard by speedrunning it and optimizing it, being hella sweaty about it.
Playing bingo?
Bingo is hard.
Bingo-tizing it. You name it.
Bingo is hard. If you just kind of go into the finest detail of any game whatsoever, it's just I'm going to no-hit this to bring back Samu from 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It's
it's just it's the minutia, right? It's there's I think that's one of the things that's just exploded in the past couple of years is all the minutia about why video games are hard, right? Think about Summoning Salt is the canonical example, but there's just so many of these gaming quote unquote documentaries. I've been watching a fair bit of Virtual recently, who does Trackmania world record histories, and it gets a little tiring to hear, and nobody thought that they could push it any farther. But then somebody came along and found another skip that saved 0.02 of a second. And then nobody thought it could go any further. And then they found
until they
0.03 of a second. Yeah.
And then you have the mouse, you roll the mouse over the YouTube screen, and you're just there's still 10 minutes left in this video, you fucker.
No joke. I did that on the most recent one that I was watching, which was about Orc on Ice or whatever it was called. And he said the line, and I tapped on the screen to see how much was left of the video. I was we're 4 minutes in on a 33-minute video. So this is going to get a lot better.
This is just the intro. Then the video really starts.
I see. What's funny about Virtual is that does he only do Trackmania? I
think so. That's it. Well, he plays the game.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's sort of his niche. He didn't really sort of branch out. There's a number of them, like Bismuth, for example, branched out into a ton of different games. Tomato Anus does a ton of different games.
I've never heard that name in my life.
You never heard of Tomato Anus? Oh, dude,
wait,
he's great.
Maybe I've heard of that name
You've
before.
You've probably heard of Tomato Angus. The G is silent.
Oh.
He did the at 2021 GDQ the Fallout 4 run.
I think you know what? I'm having a little bit of a flashback. I think I've laughed at the name before. I think somebody said oh yeah, and Tomato Anus, and I'm like, okay, wait. Is this the Mr. Krabs meme?
No.
Anybody know? I was just waiting for somebody to know what I was referencing.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned the format of those kind of documentary videos getting a little bit stale in some ways, but I saw something interesting. I'm in this content creation Discord thing. You got the Rixer, all kinds of people in there. Even though I haven't made a video in so long, I feel like kind of a poser right now. That aside, they brought up some interesting points about how the general summoning salt format you typically think of, oh man, this time was insane. They finally got it. It's never going to get beaten until they beat it. The cliche thing.
Yeah.
There's been talks of the less you focus on individual just times getting cut, because it's like, oh, it was this time, then this time, then this time. What's more important in a video like that is telling up some sort of storyline, like a documentary type thing.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way, even unintentionally, my 80% history video quota, gotta meet that quota.
Sure, yeah.
It had some of those stories in there. Like it had the Rommel thing. It had the culmination of events leading up to EYG being found. Any game that has a rich enough history is going to have those, whether it's a rivalry, the most generic example is a rivalry of some kind, but it could be just some other thing like the steps it took for X, Y, and Z person to develop something else.
Yeah.
And, move beyond just here's a time. Oh, here's a time. It got faster. It's not going to get faster. It got faster.
I think those are the most compelling. I think is the human element of the story, which I think makes for a really strong one of those types of videos. But I also like on the other side of that is the sort of nitty gritty of here's a speed game you've probably never played, or maybe you've never even played the game at all. Here's how they completely bust it wide open. That I think is the other tack you can go. And it's just so cool to see hey, there's all this little tech here, and this is how it all works and how they're able to leverage it and make everything work. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with games like that are so widely known, like whatever game you want to list, like Sunshine, Mario, whatever Mario game, whatever Zelda game you want to say, is just like everybody knows the minutia as well as everybody knows pretty much most of it. So you have to go into the minutia of the players rather than the minutia of the game itself. So
or even if we're going to use minutia so much, the minutia of the minutia. Yeah. Because BLJs, but there's super in-depth Panenkoic 2012, extremely niche stuff you can go into as well. So.
The mechanics of Mario blinking or how walls interact with each other, right? That's just it's so cool that we of humans have just figured out all this stuff, and we're black boxing these games that have come out years ago, and we're picking them apart with a fine-tooth comb and finding all of these little bits and pieces about how the game works and how it cheats and how it accomplishes what it's trying to do. And did you see that the Kirby Star Allies just came out, right? And did you see that article that was posted by Nintendo about how they made it so that when you think an attack is going to hit, when you are sucking up an enemy or swinging your cutter blade as Kirby, and it looks like the attack should hit, but because of your positioning in 3D space, it actually would not have connected. They cheat and they make it actually hit.
Right. I love those little things like that.
That's a really cool little game design thing that we just now know about that game, right? But we didn't have that for Super Mario 64. We didn't have that for Sunshine, right? We didn't have that for a lot of these old games and even for a lot of new games. And so the fact that there's people who just go in and spend ungodly amounts of time
for sure.
Figuring it all out, it's really wild.
Not even people, communities.
Whole communities, don't make it sound like it's just one person. It's usually a collaborative effort, and it's really cool to see.
One word you said that I latched onto, you said black boxing, just black boxing a game, and that was a very clever way to use that word. I think, totally unrelated to what we were talking about at all. Just using the word black boxing there is just the black box is in a pilot's nest or in just a plane with the cockpit.
Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah, it's just their last recorded spoken word.
It's got a bunch of sensors and stuff in there. And when if the plane goes down, God forbid, they can take if they find the black box, they can get a recording of the last minutes or hours of flight data, and they can reconstruct
of flight data
what's going on. I use it in the terminology of software engineering, where a black box is sort of similar, where it's sort of like a program or something that you don't know what's exactly going on. So you poke at it and you prod at it and you figure out, okay, if I do this, then this happens. And if I do that, then that happens. And you determine, hey, I can figure out how this all works because I poked at it enough and I can make a reasonable inference as to what's going on the inside.
But it's just like you said blackboxing, and I thought it through, and I'm just like, he's saying reverse engineering, but that was such an interesting way to put it, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to appreciate that for a second. Welcome, Lego, to the show. Where do we start with you? All right? Like,
that is always the question.
Yeah, I don't know. You've been around, so we know you. Trey and I know you through the SMS community right now, obviously. We know a lot of people through the SMS community. And you've been pretty new to, or like, not new, you're like pretty ingrained now in the bingo community. And
it's funny you say that. I still feel brand new to the whole scene and all of it, but go keep going.
Yeah, no, you're kind of right. Like it's been maybe a year and a half or so. We're
coming up on 2 years. I think I joined the bingo Discord in like July of 2020. I want to say.
Yeah, that's pretty recent in the grand scheme of things. Like Trey and I obviously have been around since 2014, 2013. And like what we played our first bingo tournament in 2014.
It was 2014. It was the doubles tournament that me and Capelon won.
Yeah, and commentated.
You commentated every match except for one of them.
Except for one of them.
To be fair, it was a lot smaller tournament than we see nowadays. But
oh, for sure, it wasn't like it wasn't 12 matches a week.
Yeah.
I think it was literally content.
I think it was like 9 teams, maybe like 11 teams. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was pretty small.
But I like restreamed every match, and like and it's interesting, like going from there 8 years ago to like now I don't know, commentator, and I'm asked to play, and that's kind of where I'm at.
And you do play. You signed up, and look at you doing matches.
Yes, I am doing that. But like Lego is like stream runner, obviously commentator. Like by the intro, you can tell. I like that's the first thing that like caught my ear of Lego when listening to him commentate. I'm like, holy shit, we got a pro. We got this is crazy. I know the first few times that I even interacted with Lego, like I wanted to commentate with Lego, and then like I couldn't stop complimenting you. You know this.
I do. No, and it's super flattering to hear that. It definitely was not who to sound contrite. I definitely was not this type of person when I was younger. Right. Sure. But it definitely is a lot of fun to have been part of the bingo community and to lend my voice and my energy and all that and whatnot.
And your effort.
To it. And my effort. That
bingo.sms, right? That's the
SMS.bingo, other way around.
SMS.
.bingo is a TLD, which when I found that out, I had to buy SMS.bingo.
Oh, yeah. Also, I just got to give a huge shout out. You know, we have the IL spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet. It's really nice. Huge spreadsheet of all the IL times from everyone, very competitive and all that good stuff. But your own website, you have a ranked format of
ilview.sunmar.io.
Yeah, there's a way to view just the rankings, like 1 to the very bottom for each individual level for like the overall standings. And it's very nicely formatted, so I like using that.
And that website makes me sad because it makes me realize that every valuable IL that I have or every good IL that I have is just like, oh, you get like 7 points for this.
Well,
I'm like,
to be fair, you do that ever since the start.
well, yeah, I did. But like going onto the site, I'm just like, yeah, somebody can get, I can spend 20 minutes in Mecha Bowser and get more points than I could ever hope for in any hundo. And that's it.
But you don't care about points, so that's fine.
I don't, yeah,
you just care about having
big spreadsheet, big points. Don't let it overwhelm you.
See, I'm much more about the points than you are. Otherwise, I'd probably do more hundos myself.
True.
To be fair.
Hey, you know what? What a world where you did hundos. Oh,
well, I do. I got a sub 2 Rico hundo. I kind of mess around with it, you know.
Dabbles.
I dabble.
Speaking of true all hundos. or speaking of hundos, so Lego is also one of the originators of True All Hundos.
Yes.
Yeah. Tomato roped me into that first fabled race along with Mr. Yotto. It was certainly a life experience.
Yeah, modest tomato, not tomato anus. No confusion there.
No confusion. No relation. Both tomatoes, different.
One's modest, one's anus.
Different anatomy of tomatoes.
But yeah, I remember one faithful night. Sorry, faithful night. One faithful night. I was looking for God and I found True All Hundos and
it interrupted your 120 learning.
Yeah,
and you never looked back. You were this close to actually playing 120 shines. It never happened.
That is crazy. But yeah, it definitely affected my life. I just went into Lego's stream that night and I was just like, what the hell's this? And they were just like, it's this. And I'm like,
what is this? It's this. Very, very descriptive.
Can you tell me why you guys did it? Like you roped
Tomato has this amazing skill of being able to get you to just want to do something. And he came to me, was like, yo, I came up with this idea. It's called True All Hundreds. And I was like, this sounds so stupid. Let's do it. and he sort of roped me in. And I initially was not expecting it to take as long as it did, and then it took as long as it did. I think it was the most like Sunshine I ever sat down and played, sort of a consecutive chunk of time.
I believe that.
And yeah, it was terrible. And I never want to do it again until I'm much better at the video game. But man,
and Sid watched it and was like, I want to learn this whole thing and do.
Yeah, that was what I was most amazed about. Was like this was like a one-off joke thing that I don't think anybody expected to run more than once. And then we had Sid, you did some runs, Jeff did some runs, Yotto did some runs. Yotto discovered a coin that wasn't previously documented. Like, it actually became like a thing.
So Yotto found a coin for the first time anyone's found a coin since what, 2003?
He found a piranha plant.
He found a whole piranha plant.
Wait,
spawn.
So it was 3 coins.
Yeah.
Damn. So what was the last coin was 03, right? Not 02.
Probably.
I forget which year it was. One of those early years, kind of like the Waluigi circuit shortcut in 2003 in Double Dash. Very early on, they had it figured out. Obviously, in Double Dash, they're finding these shortcuts now, but that's besides the point. This is the first coin found in the game since like forever ago, which is kind of insane.
How the hell did he find it?
Sorry, three coins.
I think he was just noodling around. I think he got some goop on the spot and was able to spawn it because it's one of those where you need to put goop on it so that the piranha does spawn.
Yeah. It's kind of like Bianco 5, the actual route.
Yeah.
Dude, Bianco 5 is
Wait, so is there a way, does Noki Doki or someone have the technology to view potential piranha plant spots without putting goop everywhere?
Yes.
Okay, so we figured it out.
Because I know Rats, after Yotto found it, we talked about it, and Rats like went into the game and was just like, oh yeah, there is a piranha plant there. And
Yotto found it by just complete accident.
Yeah.
What a madman.
Advancing the Bianco 100s meta.
Mm-hmm. And that was in Bianco episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this further makes my video from 2014 stupid. Do you know about that, Lego, by any chance?
I do not.
So I think my second video I ever posted on my YouTube channel after my first 80% PB I posted at like a 123, I had a video showcasing 100 coins is possible in Bianco 1. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. Whoa.
And I showed me getting, I believe, 101 coins.
Yes.
And saying, you could probably get 102 if you get this windmill I couldn't reach. But if you get more than 102, I will give you so much. And I forgot about, obviously, the piranha plant Yotto found. And the fact you can go to the PD fight and get like 6 more coins. So
9 more coins.
9 more. I clearly didn't think that through, but it was 2014. Cut me some slack, all right? So.
Yeah, that was like one of Trey and I's earliest like interactions.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is I think I owe like 3 or 4 people so much right now, but
there's a lot of owing going on.
Yeah. I knew it wouldn't age well.
But yeah, that's definitely sucked away a lot of my SMS time. So thanks for that.
I'm sorry.
No, but you enjoy it. And you know what? Time enjoyed is not wasted, right?
I guess that's a good way to put it.
So there you go.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get to like the actual interview questions. You know, like you've listened to the show. You know the questions we're gonna ask you. You know, have you thought about it beforehand?
A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I when you first sort of mentioned to me, hey, maybe we'll have you on the pod sometime. I was like, yeah, sure. And I immediately sort of went to bed thinking about like, I'll talk about and have a good time of it. But you know, sitting in the hot seat, it's a little bit of a different experience.
So I guess we'll start with the one we start with.
Yep.
What was your first gaming memory?
Oh God!
What is your first gaming memory?
What is my first gaming memory?
What was it before the accident?
Before the accident.
Before the amnesia. And then what is it now?
Before it all hit. There's actually a few that come to mind, sort of as like big sort of key first gaming memories. The first of which was my first console, which was a Nintendo 64. Now I got it at the tail end of the 64's life cycle, as opposed to right at the start. My age doesn't quite work out for me to be the screaming child in the pajamas going Nintendo 64, but you know, I got Super Mario 64, and it was a ton of fun to noodle around in that game and play it a ton. We had a house when I was young that we rented up in Vermont, and we had a little CRT that was probably about the size of a
bread box.
A little bread box.
We're gonna put 20 questions now.
I was gonna say actually it's probably about the side, you know, the wide flat side of the Wii. It's about that big.
Oh my God!
So it's really kind of small.
That is smaller than my current CRT right now. Wow.
Dude, my dad used to have. Okay, did you ever have those? Like, sorry to sidetrack. Weird flashback. My dad had this really tiny, like, portable television that, like, connected somehow remotely to like a base, and you could carry it around and watch it, and it was about that size.
Now this one you had the wire into the wall and all of that, but the only thing we used it for was for the N64. And at one point, my parents were having a party and somebody poured a thing of water on it, so it would work.
Like you do.
It would work, but you would have to wait for it to warm up for like 15 minutes. So I remember coming home from skiing and, you know, taking off all the boots and all the snow in Vermont. Yeah, so taking off all the snow pants and the snow jacket, and, you know, I'm a little kid, and so I scamper up to the loft and I turn on the N64 and I turn on the TV, and then I leave and I go away for like 15 minutes and like help put stuff away, and if we brought in groceries, I'd put the groceries away, and then about 15 minutes later I would go back up into the loft and be on the title screen of whatever I wanted to play.
Wow.
Oh, that's
so there was just like water stuck in there?
It was like whoever poured water on it, they fried it just enough that it wouldn't work, at least initially. But after about 15 minutes, it would just work.
Do you know who it was?
I don't know. It may have been my father, but
okay.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
So what about like switching games?
Switching games.
Did you have to turn it off and take it out, and then
once it was working, once the TV was able to display the N64, I could switch games whenever I wanted. It was just that initial period, because, you know, we didn't have it hooked up to like an antenna or anything. So when you turned it on, it was just static.
See, this is the old-timey shit that I want to know. Like this, like first gaming memory, like whatever Ginger's was of sitting on his like dad's lap playing Jurassic Park. Fuck that shit. I want the sitting in front of a CRT waiting for it to boot up.
And to set the scene for you, this is like in a little loft area, right? Yeah. So there's my bedroom was below, but up in the loft was this tiny little CRT sitting on the floor. right? Next, like you see those pictures of like bachelor's first apartment where it's like a beer crate, a TV, and like a PS4. That was me at like 7 or 8 years old with my little CRT, my N64, and like a carpet in this like little wooden loft. And I would sit up there and play Super Mario 64, Lego Racers.
That's where the name Lego comes from. Lego Racers.
Now, the name Lego comes from me messing up trying to sign up for Lego Club online.
Oh, still similar.
Still similar.
Messing up.
But that sort of is a very vivid gaming memory. It's probably not the first, but it is like up there for like, this is how I spent a lot of weekend nights after skiing, was up in this loft playing N64.
What? So if you signing up for Lego Club, it just gave you Lego and then numbers?
No, I was a smart ass as a kid. I wanted to be Lego on Lego Club. Obviously everyone would take Lego, but I loved my Nintendo 64, so I wanted to be Lego 64. But Lego 64 was taken. So they suggested Lego 64 25. But you'll notice that in most of my other stuff, it's Lego 6245 because I mistyped it into the box. They gave me the suggestion of 6425, and I typed it in as 6245, and I was wondering why I wasn't able to log in the second time I got there.
Damn. How'd you figure out that you were wrong?
I think I asked my mom to check, like, because you had to have your parents' permission, right?
Oh yeah.
This was back when COPA was actually taken seriously. So if you were under 13, you had to get a printout from the website, have your parents sign it, and then fax it to their legal offices.
Wait. How old are you? I'm trying to figure out your age.
I'm 27.
Oh, what?
So you're about my age. You're like you're older than me.
Yeah.
This is
but
all right.
my memory of the internet is whenever a box comes up, you have to confirm you're over 13. You just check it and go on.
I was an honest kid.
Oh yeah.
In case you might imagine, I wasn't big on lying as a small child. I was very honest.
Wow.
I remember getting excited recently. I think I've talked about it on the show, where Steam, in order to like go through to like mature games now, I don't have to like scroll down to like 1995 or anything like that anymore. I can just be like, it starts on 2000, and I'm just like, that's old enough.
Yeah,
so I can just click go.
That is pretty nice.
Yeah. So it's just enough time has passed that I could just go okay, even though I'm just like, I'm not going to scroll down to 1990 whatever. I'm not going to say the specific year.
We've already said how old we are.
I know. I know.
But no, we had to print out a copy of the COPA agreement. My mom had to sign it, and then she took it to her office and she faxed it to whatever number you had to fax it to. And then a few days later, she got an email saying, "Congratulations, your child's Lego account is now enabled."
Yay!
Hooray! I got to play all the cool games on Lego.com.
Wait. So why do you have to be 13 to do some Lego side?
Because there's regulations on the COPA, which is the law in the U.S. that sort of regulates children's privacy under the age of 13 on the internet. And essentially you needed like authorization from the parents to store data about the kid, which is why all of these sites ask like you to check a box that says you're over the age of 13. But since Lego let you sign up if you were under 13, they had to comply to COPA. And all those rules. So that's why you had to do it.
To be fair, and as time goes on, the more I believe this, I don't think that little kids should be on the internet anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Because, there's all kinds of weird shit on there, as you know.
Well, you're not allowed to make a Twitch account until you're 13.
Yeah, but again, if you're not an honest Abe like Lego, you can just, do it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If you're not an honest Abe like...
Abraham Lincoln.
If you're not an honest Abraham Lincoln, then you can do whatever you want. But if the world was filled with honesty, 13-year-olds wouldn't be able, or 12-year-olds wouldn't be able to do shit.
True.
So, I don't know. We're trying our best out here.
Man, I just think back to I was beyond cringe when I was 12, and I think back, I'm like, man, even though I really cultured myself on how the internet works and internet activity back then, which was give you a bit of a jump start to just interacting online in general. I think like the less I would have said or done back then, the better, because my God.
True.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
How were you I have to investigate this. I have to ask the question. How were you beyond cringe when you were 12?
Oh boy. The way that I would type and talk and interact with people. I mean, you can imagine, right? Like 12-year-old.
Sure. Now,
not to mention, and to be fair, back then it was cool to type like this thing like ponage, leets, hacksaw.
But we do that now.
I mean, yeah, it's still cool now, don't get me wrong. But, okay, imagine that lingo with a 12-year-old cringe factor. It's not a pretty sight, all right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like not ironic. It's like,
yeah, but
it's
luckily,
very earnest.
I think
you're always earnest when you're that age.
Yeah, whatever forums I was on, they're probably long gone by now. So whatever.
Good. But Wayback Machine.
Lost the time.
Yeah.
Try to Wayback Machine. Try to find Trey in random forums.
That's the thing, is that I think now it's like back then. Furthering that point, the internet was a lot more of just like separated sites. Each game had its own specific forum before Discord and stuff. Obviously. It was like, oh, just some little one-off forum. You can sign up and interact with people of like the same interest as you. That's pretty cool. Nowadays, with little kids, all you have is Twitter, Instagram, social media sites, and that stuff stays around forever. So like, the stuff you do on the internet is a lot more permanent nowadays, and everything is tracked so much more heavily. I feel sorry for little kids growing up now, because their stuff that they say actually will likely stay somewhere. So
I feel really bad for little kids nowadays, even more so, because like their parents will be posting them as children.
Yes, if the parents are really insensitive, yes.
Yeah. Like that's the stuff that I'm just like, oh man, I'm so glad that I'm 29. Like
I really believe like
your parents didn't make a baby Facebook page for you where they're posting all your baby pictures and
It's just like, what was it? There was some sort of Facebook post where they were posting their like a kid's temper tantrum or something.
Oh my God.
And I was sitting there going like, they're 7. Like, it's fine. You don't have to post this on the internet.
That's normal.
Like first, they got rejected for a first date, and they're like 12, and they're just like crying,
they're sobbing, because it's a traumatic experience, and they're taking out the camera and like, oh, I'm gonna post this on Facebook for
I'm gonna
Aunt Betty to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 130
likes.
It's gonna be sick.
Really, everyone is fueled by the amount of likes they're gonna get. They're like, oh, my child has a life-changing experience. That'll get some likes. It's like, they would trade their child's security for likes. It's just sad. I think people our age truly grew up like in the golden era of when we were young. It wasn't like
where the parents aren't quite aware of what's really happening, and the internet's so nascent and small and fragmented that a lot of it gets sort of lost to time.
Yeah,
and our generation, I feel, man, it feels so boomery to say our generation. It's just like I've heard that like the next generation doesn't really treat the internet as like sensitively. Like I'm definitely way more aware of like not like clicking on links or anything like that. On the internet, and I've been told that apparently like kids nowadays, God, so boomer, God, kill me.
Kids these days.
Yeah, you're just leaning full into it. We were talking about how the kids need to be careful about the internet. Now we're talking about how
it doesn't make it any less boomer to acknowledge your boomerness. You realize
that?
Yeah,
I know.
It is very.
But yeah, like apparently the next generation just kind of they're just clicking on links all over the place. But I don't actually know.
I feel like they'd be smarter about it if anything. Is
right?
They live on the internet. They know what's bullshit and what's not. Like I don't know. I feel like they'd be smart about that. But
that's what I think too. But
some of that stuff can be counterintuitive.
So Lego. So Lego and Lego.
Yes.
You were playing Lego.
I just have to ask. Did you have a big Lego collection growing up?
Yes. No. Lego as the building toy has been a part of my life for a very long time. It's fallen off the wagon since then. Like I don't really have any Lego sets as a person right now, though I do kind of want to get back into it.
They're getting,
but no, as a kid, I had
right?
this. Yeah, they are very expensive. But as a kid, I had this big plastic tub of like hundreds, probably thousands of assorted Lego pieces, and I could just build stuff. Built little race car tracks to drive around with your Hot Wheels and
Hot
stuff
Wheels.
like
Let's
that.
Go. I had Hot Wheels.
I had like the first Harry Potter castle, which I know, but that was one of the first big sets that I built on my own, and no, so Lego was sort of a really big part of my childhood, and even though it's not really today, I still look back on it pretty fondly.
I was going to say, as you were saying, like, I don't really have a lot of Lego around nowadays. I was going to say, I would hope not. But like as a joke. And then I was sitting there going like, I've seen like a lot of people just like buy really expensive Lego sets. Because when Trey said it was expensive, I'm just like, yeah, I've seen people just like get the big Lego sets and just kind of build them and put them as just nice,
like, and they're cool, and it's sort of a fun thing to do with your hands, and it's it's expensive, sure, but you can't really beat it with Mega Blocks or whatever else.
Sure. What was it? Connects.
I was just about to say
Connects are cool. Connects are cool.
Connects were a different ball game completely.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
but that was practically like real engineering at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I still remember my Connects suitcase. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's just like the big yellow, just abrasive thing. It had like
and it had slots in it, right, where you could like put like some of those gear pieces and the little sticks.
Oh yeah.
On the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I vaguely remember this. I don't think I had one as a kid, but I remember what you're talking.
Yeah, and it just like opened very awkwardly, and all the Connect pieces were inside there. Lego, the like Hot Wheels and Lego. That was my. I haven't thought about that in so long, but I had like this large bag of Hot Wheels that just like filled this. It seemed kind of like a what are they called again? They're the the little thing you keep your wallet in them around your waist.
Oh, fanny pack?
A fanny pack. It seemed like just like a really massive fanny pack of Hot Wheels. And I had like the Lego box filled with just pieces of Lego, and days and days just go by, and I haven't thought about that in so long. Thank you guys for bringing up Lego.
Hey, like, you brought me onto the show. You've inflicted this upon yourself.
Well, I you know what? I don't think when I think Lego nowadays, I don't think the little blocks anymore.
I actually still do.
I'm sorry.
That's primarily what I think of.
Yeah.
Or like Lego Batman or something.
Yeah.
I played Lego Batman. It's pretty fun.
When did you play Lego Batman?
One of my friends had it. It might have came with their Xbox or something. I don't really remember. So we're like, yeah, we'll just try it out. Fuck it.
So yeah. Wait, is that a hard video game? Are we allowed to talk about the game?
I don't think it was very hard.
Damn.
You know what? I would rate it a solid 5. What do we give 5?
On the difficulty scale?
Are we going to call 5 nooch?
Did you just make that up?
I'm making that up right now. On our difficulty scale, 5 is nooch. It's pretty nooch difficulty.
Right. You're gonna put that. You're gonna have the official video games are hard scale. None of the other numbers are filled in. Just 5 is nooch.
A noochy woochy kind of game.
We have like 7 through 10 filled in, and then we have like
2 is recruit.
And then 1 is Yoshi's Woolly World.
No, I think 0 is Yoshi's Woolly World.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're filling in the gaps as we go.
Yeah, so. we're trying to figure it out. That
5
for
is
some
nooch.
Have you noticed that for some reason the video games are hard like the video game difficulty scale podcast has like way more views or way more listens than like any other pod recently?
I think it's because people are just interested in rating scales and stuff. It's kind of like a BuzzFeedy kind of thing. Like expensive steak versus cheap steak, stuff like that.
I think we talked about it for like 3 minutes in the episode.
Yeah, we barely talked about it.
It grabs people's attention, right? They love to hear. They love to hear opinions. I wonder
what names they're going to give. It sounds interesting. Yeah.
They love to hear opinions, and they love to hear opinions that they think are wrong, so they
also
can talk about it in the comments.
They like raging Wojaks, so they saw the thumbnail. They're like, "Oh, I know that meme. All right, click on it."
It tickled my neuron.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going back to the interview for a second. Random pop into my head question.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems pretty apt for the show title. called Video Games Are Hard. What is the hardest video game you've ever beaten, Lego? I don't know you to be like a like, I know you've played like Arthur and Sunshine. I don't know what games you've played. Lego?
I've played a lot of games in my time. So difficulty is difficult. Difficulty is difficult. Who would have thought?
That should have been the name of our podcast.
Difficulty is difficult. No, but I end up not playing a ton of difficult games, really. It's not something I seek out of play.
Have you completed a game other than Yoshi's Woolly World?
Have I completed a game other than Yoshi's Woolly World? I've maxed in RuneScape.
What is considered completing RuneScape? Is that even like a thing?
I haven't gotten the completion escape yet. That's still a ways off.
It's different.
I've beaten a fair number of games. I've beaten Persona 5. I've beaten lots of Zelda games. I've beaten lots of Mario games. I've beaten lots of JRPGs. I've played through all of Final Fantasy VII and all sorts of stuff.
I played that as well.
But I don't tend to seek out like difficulty.
Not really a Dark Souls kind of guy.
Not really a Dark Souls kind of guy.
I've
been meaning to try it. But it's just one of those things where it's like life is stressful enough that sometimes I want to just play something like. I guess there's two ways you can measure difficulty, right? You can measure difficulty by like how hard is it to do a particular action, right? Like beat a boss or get to the end or whatever, right? But there's also sort of difficulty in terms of like time investment, right? Like sort of on a higher level grinding and stuff like that, which I don't know. It's I've sort of gravitated towards that. I've played a lot of MapleStory. I've played a lot of RuneScape, as I've said. I play a lot of Guild Wars 2. I play a lot of games like that sort of are not difficult in the traditional sense, but sort of represent time investment and sort of a different form of difficulty. So,
and they don't really have a definitive end either. They just kind of keep going.
Yeah, they keep going, and there's more stuff to do, and you set new challenges for yourself, and you keep trying to achieve those challenges, and you once you reach them, great, you feel good. Now it's time to set the next one.
Well, so like when you look at difficulty, you said you bring up Dark Souls and stuff. We've brought up the game The Witness a lot, right?
Yes, we have.
Which I've played.
Oh, and you played it?
Yes.
Did you beat it?
I have not beaten it. No.
Darn, that could have been your answer for the question.
That could have been your answer.
I've gotten close. The last time I played it, I think I was like at the last little bit. I think before. I'd solve like most of like because I assume it's not spoilers to discuss that The Witness is sort of laid out with like clusters of puzzles that all sort of center around a theme.
That's pretty clear immediately.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of those clusters, and I did the little thing at the end to start setting it up for the big finish. I just never had pushed over the edge.
And you know what's funny? That is the exact same position Optimistic Emo was in, where he got enough lasers to unlock the final area, but just never finished the final area for some reason.
Huh.
And like, dude, you're like an hour away. Come on.
I feel like I do that with a lot of games. Like I'll play them for Breath of the Wild, for example. I've done all 4 Divine Beasts. I've done a bunch of other stuff. I just never beat Calamity Ganon. I stopped playing, and I felt very satisfied with where I ended.
I wonder, there's got to be some kind of name for that effect, because I am the exact same way. I think I've mentioned this like 5 different times, but I can't stress enough that I got through all of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, never beat the final boss.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Metroid Prime.
I don't know why I would do that. Like, I wonder what psychological thing, is it something in our psyche that's like, we don't want to feel that feeling of it being over?
Oh, maybe.
So instead we just like cut it short.
I don't know. For me, it's always the instinct of I've always been sort of, it's the MMO fan in me, where I've always wanted to like finish everything.
Yeah.
Right. I want to do all the side quests and get all the other stuff. So games that present a lot of sort of quote unquote optional stuff to do, I feel like I get most lost in.
Oh man, let me tell you right now, you would get so lost in Elden Ring if you played it.
Yeah, no, I fully acknowledge that would be the case. But
as a starting point to the Souls-like games.
Yeah. But you contrast it with something like, say, Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy X for that matter. Those games are pretty linear, right? And there are points where you diverge and you do side quests and stuff like that, but largely, like you're funneled into the end game and you go to the end game and you do that, right? There's not enough other stuff that you just sort of get lost and then you exhaust your willingness to play the game.
Right.
Which is why I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, is because, I had no interest in spending a bunch of time leveling up every materia to max and stuff like that. Because that wasn't something I wanted to do. I wanted to keep going. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, like, I wanted to find more Koroks. I wanted to find more shrines. I wanted to do all of that other stuff. But the desire to finish the game was lower.
Well, like the thing about finishing Breath of the Wild, though, it's like, that you can just like continue playing. It's not like the only game that I know that kicks you out of the game and you cannot continue is Dark Souls 1.
I think ever since Dark Souls 1, future games, it's like, do you want to continue this file or start New Game Plus?
No. And even though that option exists, I think it's the psychological part of, like, I don't want to do that.
No, I can definitely see that. Like as you guys were saying, like the psyche, you don't want it to be like over in your brain. I can definitely see like a 6-year-old me beating Ocarina of Time, then lying in my bed and being like, I was genuinely sad that Ocarina of Time was over. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember as a 6-year-old being smart enough to be like, oh, this was a great game. Mm-hmm. But then, like, I could see then a switch going off in my brain and going like, oh, I'm never going to finish any game ever again.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. But yeah, that's an interesting way to go down. But yeah,
I guess the other. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the other avenue of difficulty can also be self-imposed competition, right? Like we were mentioning at the start about sort of the depth of ways you can play games. Like, I played TF2 at a semi-competitive level for a while. I was sort of involved in the comp scene as a Highlander player, playing Medic and NG, which is one avenue to do it. For the brief time that it existed in the game, or the brief time that it existed in a North American release, I was one of the top players of this now defunct Korean MMO fighter game called Manga Fighter, which I got really, really good at during the closed beta and then never released in the US.
Dang.
Shame.
I've bounced around to a lot of games and it's sort of like I find what I want in those games. I extract it, I enjoy it, I savor it, and then I it's rare that I stick around for all that much longer. So it makes games like RuneScape or Guild Wars 2 an anomaly for me. In that I stick around for them for as long as I have.
I can definitely appreciate that. I feel like with most games that I play, I just kind of try to interact with as much as I can as I'm interested in it, and then just kind of put it, like, I don't think I could boil down what I really enjoy about Elden Ring so far, or like any of the games I'm currently playing, to like the drop of, I don't know, like whatever specific extract you're talking about. Like, I really, Breath of the Wild, I love going through Korok seeds. That's what I'm really enjoying. I really enjoy for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But past that, like other games, I enjoy bits and pieces. I couldn't tell you what little bits and pieces I'm enjoying, but I definitely appreciate that you can actually do that.
Yeah, you can definitely extract down any game to the specific reasons that you're enjoying it. Like, for me, thinking about Resident Evil 4, I think one of the biggest things I enjoyed, even though most of the time you're just shooting at enemies and stuff, is the resource management part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, something as seemingly mundane as that. It's like, I just love being able to minimize how much ammo I need for any situation, and then I don't know. Something's fun about that.
The menu Tetris puzzle, the suitcase Tetris puzzle.
Oh yeah, the
Right.
Storage.
Yeah, that's so
inventory
that's so
system's really
emblematic
good,
of Resident Evil that the sort of put that sort of concept on the map. Even the inventory management.
Hey, you know what? Actually, thinking about it, that's what I really appreciate about Dead Space. Not what you're saying, Trey, but I know exactly like what the extract is, where it's just like replaying the game and kind of like figuring out like the economy of it, and just like playing well enough to like keep your 3 medical valves or whatever the fuck you collect in order to then sell them for 1,000 credits and then buy power nodes and upgrade over and over again. And you're getting rewarded by just like playing well through money.
Yeah, and
that's
also
what I really
it helps to know which items are coming up when, so you know when you can waste things or not.
True.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And you
Stuff like
get
that.
you get rewarded for your knowledge of the game, and you get to sort of flex that metagaming muscle, right?
You get to flex the black boxing of the game that you've participated in.
Exactly.
you
built that mental map, and
you've reverse engineered the source code of Dead Space or Resident Evil or Lego, and I don't know what the Lego example would be.
I'm just like not very well versed in airplane stuff. For some reason, I was picturing black box as just this box that just traps all light and it's like extremely dark.
Pandora's box.
What's that like really dark black called, like Vanta Black or something?
Oh yeah,
I'm just picturing that like the darkest box possible, but no,
Yeah,
just
those
absorbs all light.
That's also can be video games.
I'm thinking of the end of what's the Lara Croft movie? Lara Croft and what's the sequel? I can't remember.
I've never seen a Tomb Raider movie.
You've never seen Angelina Jolie and Gerard Butler in the sequel to Tomb Raider? I can't remember the
Tomb
title.
Raider 2?
It's so memorable you can't even remember the title.
Tomb Raider 2, and the end of it is Pandora's box, which is just like in this puddle of ooze that they like get out somehow, and it's a gold box, and they actually refrain from opening it for too long, and they actually close it and put it back in. So it's kind of a lame ending, but like I'm just visualizing the like
that's the black box is actually a gold box.
It's actually a gold box.
How does that make any sense?
But it's in black ooze.
Okay, that's
well,
fair.
there you go.
You know, and it's Pandora's box because it's like it has all of the pain and suffering of the world, or whatever the fuck the myth of Pandora's
Whatever the
box is.
metaphor is for the for the movie, for the video game.
There's somebody out there
movie.
being like, "Oh, the myth of Pandora's box is this," and I'm just like, "Well, yeah, I don't remember exactly what the hell the myth of Pandora's."
Can't even remember the title of the movie. Give him some slack.
And the 2 thrones. No, I don't know.
All right, so Lego, you go around from game to game, you extract whatever you want from it. You came to Sunshine, and you're like, bingo, easy. I want to do bingo.
Yeah,
Boom.
no, and so to put it in a little bit of perspective, because there's this undercurrent that flows through a lot of what I've done sort of leading up to this is in TF2. Not only was I playing competitively, but I also got my start commentating in TF2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I commentated a number of TF2 Highlander matches, and I was dog shit because I was like very young. I mean, didn't quite know what I was doing at the time, but I knew that it was something that I enjoyed doing, was sort of the stagemanship, the craft of it, right? And so I transitioned that into League of Legends commentating for a while. I would commentate some collegiate games, and then I found Sunshine Bingo, and Sunshine Bingo appealed to me on 2 different dimensions. The first was it was wild that a game released in 2002 for the Nintendo GameCube had such a rich metagame built entirely on top of the existing bones, right? The existing black box of Super Mario Sunshine, which is actually white with blue lines and Mario's faces on it.
It's actually gold.
Yeah.
If it's the player's choice version, it's gold for sure.
If it's a player's choice version, it's gold, right? But this whole community has sprung up around building an entire secondary way of play on top of Sunshine. And the second part was commentary, because I was having that itch again at that point in 2020 to sort of get back into commentary. I hadn't done it for a while. It felt like it would be interesting. It'd be cool to learn Sunshine. Sunshine was one of the first games I got for my GameCube. So I was familiar with sort of the basic presence. I had just recently watched this video by this guy. You might have heard of him. It's called Average Trey. Made this any percent history video, which was just fascinating to watch. I recognized a number of names in there, especially Samu. And so I ended up taking a peek at the Sunshine community Twitch and found the bingo going on, and I signed up to commentate, and they didn't immediately try to yeet me after my first commentary, which, from my understanding, people did not enjoy. I probably, if I listened back to it, I would not enjoy it either.
Yeah, we're gatekeeping you. Get out of our community.
Yeah, but I learned more.
We're gatekeeping you. I have to say, try gatekeeping you.
I learned more about the game, and I learned more about bingo strategy, and it was just something that I increased my skill level at, to the point where now I'm up there with some of the good commentators. You know, the Larvies, the Jeffs, the Sid and Treys, the Radiras, especially, who's another person who I really, really appreciate. Sort of similar to me, came into the scene, signed up, wanted to commentate, got into it, and now is helping to really run things behind the scenes as well. So it was really cool to have that opportunity to become a part of the community. And then, you know, I started to just get, you know, nudged to join certain things. Like I joined GB's Discord, which became sort of the unofficial bingo hangout, and sort of met all those folks, and sort of started to get more deeply involved in the community, and started to do actual runs, which I haven't done in months, but that's more my own problem than anything else.
Yeah.
And so it gives me this opportunity to really practice and hone the craft of commentary, which is something I've always wanted to do, and I can contribute back to the scene through the work I do to help support bingo. And you know, I think bingo is just one of the most fun ways to experience a game like that. And randomizer, right, is a great way to you know, randomizer for OOTs, just like a great way to experience a game that you're familiar with in a whole new way, and be able to think about it without also just thinking about the game, right? Like you're thinking about it now from this perspective that's zoomed out, as opposed to sort of the minutia of a run, right? Is you're thinking about, okay, what's my immediate next minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes of activity, right? What's my next sequence of button presses and stick movements, and how am I going to set up for this, that, and the other thing? Bingo and randomizer and these sort of meta games force you to take a step back from that, while simultaneously still exhibiting great skill at the minute-to-minute gameplay, but also ask you to, at the same time, juggle the responsibilities of navigating a complex web of possibility, of potential, of where you want to be, when you want to be there, in scales that are stretching beyond just the immediate next couple of minutes. And I think that's a really interesting way to think about the game. And so when I think about sort of other competitive games, like that's what makes an interesting competitive game to me, is this combination of individual, you know, minute-to-minute skill and this macro movement, strategy, anticipation, reaction, pre-action, sort of minute-to-minute.
Yeah,
go for it.
I got to make a point about, like, you know, how much bingo lends itself to competitiveness, with how malleable it is, and no two matches are the same. There's always some kind of improv you got to do. Even if two cards are kind of similar that you've done, your strategy might vary a little bit from match to match.
Well, it might even vary just because of the opponent that you're playing.
Oh, that's also true. There's so many more variables. Whereas, so there have been like pushes in the past, specifically from GSA and various other people around the speedrunning community, to have more tournaments based around simply a run of a category of a game competitively, like in a bracket format or some sort of deal. Would you say that really lends itself that well to that sort of format versus a bingo where it's always changing, and it's not just the same thing you always do and could do offline, just doing runs. It's this thing where a separate entity is involved, like the person you're playing. There's always a randomized card.
Yeah.
Like, do you think there's any merits to like just a plain Jane SMS any % tournament, or like what are your thoughts on that?
It's a good question. I think there's ways we can structure competition, right, that I think are better for that type of format. Because when I think about what's impressive about any percent and like why someone would want to tune into any percent is about the journey, right? Is about sort of the progression of skill, the attempts, the wins, the losses, the successes, the failures, right? Like what makes an any percent run interesting is less so the run and more so the story leading up to the run. And the run itself can be very impressive and very technical. But a lot of that nuance gets lost from a viewer perspective because you have to assume that the viewer is not necessarily an expert on Sunshine or expert on Super Mario 64 or whatever else, right? And for all of its faults, BTRL is like a decent format for that type of tournament, right? I don't think two people doing a single no reset any percent run is interesting viewing because as soon as one player makes a mistake, what's going to happen, right? Like you're essentially rooting for the other person to mess up. Yeah. That's not fun viewership. Whereas with BTRL, from a viewership perspective, you've got 6 to 8 runners going at once. They're practicing. They're doing attempts. They're doing, they're sort of doing all sorts of combinations of stuff. You still get the like no reset excitement at the beginning of the day. You get to see, the attempts as they go on. And sure, there's a number of problems with that format about how you get the commentary right? How do you get the correct focus? What level of detail do you talk about? Who do you bring on that's able to provide that insight? That's sort of a bigger question, but I think you can do an any percent type of tournament or a relay race like we did for the 96 Shines relay race. Oh yeah. Like that's interesting in and of itself because it's small segmented things. And even if the result is largely predetermined or quote unquote predetermined, the result is largely obvious from the get-go. You can Japan's
going to win the 96 Shines relay.
You can still sort of recognize the skill level of each individual segment and sort of like that, right? I think bingo, though, and one of the things that I argue is bingo and randomizer can be approachable more from the common layperson's perspective, right? I think an any percent tournament or any percent grinding is very interesting from an experienced speedrunner's perspective because they know the minutia. They know the little bits and pieces, and so they can appreciate when something goes well or when something doesn't go well in a way that's not obvious to a more casual viewer. Yeah. But a more casual viewer who's maybe familiar with Sunshine or familiar with Ocarina of Time as a game, right? But maybe doesn't quite understand like, oh, this is a buffered spin versus a non-buffered spin, and that's why he didn't get the right amount of height.
And I tell them to watch my video.
Tell them to watch your video. But you can talk about it on a level that they can understand and appreciate, right? You can talk about, hey, the player needs these items, or the player needs these shines, or needs to do this thing before their opponent, and that's at an approachable level that doesn't require or presuppose a lot of game knowledge. I think from a viewership perspective, a traditional, a bingo or a randomizer makes for better tournament viewing.
Right.
But I also think that any percent or just straight runs work, but you need a format like BTRL where you can develop better storylines, where it's not a one and done, where it's not, just straight 2 runners running. You've got a variety of stuff you can talk about. You got a variety of things you can focus on, and you can ultimately build better stories, because that's what commentary is building a story. When I get into the bingo booth, my focus is on the bingo booth. In the bingo commentary booth, my focus is on setting a story, right? Who are these players? How do they play against each other? What does the card do? Is the card conductive to a particular play style? Will they approach that play style or will they not approach that play style? Why might they do it or why might they not? And if they do it, how can they move and transition and do stuff like that? And sort of build the narrative so that people can follow along and start thinking in that bingo way, right? And start having those thoughts of what's the player going to do next, and start feeling smart about it because they've been equipped with this setup and these descriptions of how things might play out, and they can start having those insights, having those sort of bingo moments, and sort of have a great viewing experience because they're able to get into and understand, even if they don't understand why the specific movement is being done in this way, they can at least understand, hey, the player is getting the shine. He's getting 40 blues right now, or she's getting 5 from 3. And that all fits together in their brain, and they start to then maybe get interested in SMS in general.
So, okay, so you're talking about building the storyline and stuff with commentary. How does it feel like you go into the commentary booth and do that? How does it feel for you to get into the commentary booth with that mindset going in, and then have me sit in the commentary booth with you and talk about the Twilight Zone?
That's different pairings. Like, commentary pairings are so important because it really does dictate the whole tenor of the commentary and the conversation. And right, and like you calibrate to that, right? Is you
sure,
you let the worst thing is to try to force a particular method of commentary. You just can't. If you force it, it's incredibly obvious to the viewer, and it's not fun to listen to. So you just got to play it back and forth, right? You can go in with what your best laid plans are for how you want to approach something,
for sure.
But that means nothing, because the whole point of the commentary is to be entertaining and to be good to listen to and provide insight into something, right? And whether that's insight into Twilight Zone, or insight into the match, or insight into anything else, it's not a bad thing when a match commentary sort of focuses on other stuff, because it helps fill the space. It helps build that conversational rapport, so that way you can have conversations about anything, really. The best commentary is a back and forth. It's not a both people just sort of staring at the screen remarking on what's happening.
Oh, for sure. Like Trey and I know that for true.
We always talk about the generic 80% commentary of, and this is travel skip, a skip in which, and we're like, here we go again,
Also for marathons, it's different, right? For marathons, you have to assume zero knowledge, right, and go into it, which would be an interesting complication for bingo, because you've got two folks going on at the same time. They might not be doing the same thing. Like, what level of that is important to cover? But yeah, there's some folks who, when they're first getting into the bingo commentary, they sort of focus more on what's immediately happening in front of them. I think that's a natural reaction for a lot of first-time commentators.
Oh, yeah.
And so the trick is to, how do you coax them into, well, all right, we see what's happening, but what do you think's going to happen next? Well, and why?
It could be something in addition to that, where it's just like, sure, you can do the prediction commentary. That predictionary. And but you can do the prediction commentary or whatever, but you can also just kind of transcend all of it and just talk about something else. Those
were the best weeklies. Were commentary where the commentary about the actual run is sort of predisposed by whatever people want to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that it's a good feel. I think you
were talking about honing commentary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's interesting you're talking about honing commentary on bingo, because I can't imagine honing commentary on bingo, because I did, like Trey was talking about, we had all of these any percent tournaments keep popping up, and we were just like, these are the lamest shit of all time, but we will commentate them. Mm-hmm. And so Trey and I, precursor to the podcast, would just go on there and be like, well, we'll do like the brass tacks. We'll do like the bare. We'll do what we're supposed to do. We'll be like, okay, travel skip, blah blah, GBS, blah blah, whatever, blah, like Yoshi skip. But we'll also just sit there and be like, we'll talk about random minutia bring back minutia again. We'll say the word minutia however many times we want to in this episode.
Or we will say like, oh, well, because it's this person, they're probably going to do this trick or not do this thing. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And do that. But like, we'd also just talk about whatever is going. And you bringing up the weekly races, I just treated that as kind of a podcast.
No, it didn't 100% should be. Like the weekly, so for viewer context, I took it up the mantle after the end of season 3 of the Bingo League to try to get more content on Sunshine Community that wasn't exclusively bingo. And so I started restreaming the any percent race every week on Fridays. And part of what I wanted to do with that was to be as inclusive as possible. Because I participated in that sort of interim period, a lot of randomizer races. On Saturdays, the OOT community does sort of a randomizer race. And what I'd always noticed is when they restream, they would pick 2 people, usually pretty fast people, and put them up on the stream, which is really cool because you get to see like really good people play the game. And with randomizer, you need to track a bunch of additional information. It's a lot more labor intensive. But I thought for any percent, right, it would be kind of boring if we just saw the only 2 good people. And so I wanted to put as many freaking streams on there as I could fit.
That's how you do it.
And so I think we've had up to 15 people on the stream at once, and it murders my PC. But I think it's a really unique experience from a viewer perspective because you get to see everybody, right? You get to see the fastest players and the slowest players. And it's really cool to see the slower players up there because it's like, hey, they're putting themselves out there. They're participating in this community race. They're part of the community. It's not just the SBs, the Jeff Compasses, the Libres, the one ups, the Jukatopses, the Derp Spaces,
just
right?
Keep
the sort of the fast folks who are consistently placing relatively high. There's a lot of other people in the community, and I want to give them the opportunity to be seen. And it's really cool because we've seen some really cool PBs by folks who are not in that sort of top cachet on the weekly race. And everybody got to celebrate that together in sort of this communal way. And then at the same time, it's a great sort of low stakes commentary thing, right? Where we can bring in people who may not feel comfortable commentating sort of in like a competitive sense, right? They can, be on and they can chat with whoever's co-commentating with them and podcast. If every weekly race was just a podcast of 2 folks from the Sunshine Community talking about whatever it was, the game, hopefully a little bit, but anything else, like I'd consider that a success. Because it's just cool to hear and bring the community together for these sort of weekly events. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say there is that it's just like you were saying, low stakes commentary for the weekly. I was going to respond with like, oh, I thrive on low stakes, but I think I thrive. I think I thrive on making high stakes seem low stakes. And it was just like an interesting thought that I had at the end of your commentary, but like, or your diatribe. I don't know how to say it. Make the word diatribe not seem disrespectful, but I enjoyed listening to it.
It's fine.
See, what's funny is listening to you talk. I want to try to be as professional as I can. So I'm trying to remove my uhs. I'm trying
to. That's almost something I regret because, like, I know I throw off this sort of vibe of professionalism, and I can put on the presenter voice and really sort of get into it. But the conversational stuff is something I really do. I've really always admired listening to your guys' podcast. In the past 40 episodes or so, because I really picked it up with season 2. Is sort of your ability to conversationalize, right? And
thank you.
And especially Sid, when hearing you on commentary with Trey or with anybody else, you have this ability, like you said, to bring them in and have whoever your co-commentator is with feel included and supported, and you're able to sort of talk and coax them into communicating, right? Because nothing's worse than it's just being one voice talking the whole time.
For sure.
Being able to bring the other person in and have their voice be part of yours brings you both up.
You know what? High praise. I don't even know what to say. That's very nice of you to say. But what I was gonna say about honing commentary on any percent, you gave me a compliment. I had a plan, and then you complimented me. And
I completely derailed it.
I was gonna actually ask Trey what he laughed at.
Oh, did I? Oh, shoot. Well, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was so long ago.
Yeah. Can you remember?
I don't remember whatsoever.
Okay. So like I was talking about...
I remember now. Sorry.
Okay, go for it.
So Lego was talking about having like the vibe of professionalism or something.
Yeah.
And for some reason I was just picturing, I don't know, going into a job interview or something, and the interviewers were like, "Man, you really have this vibe of professionalism. We should we might call you back." I don't know.
Bro, we love your professional vibe.
You passed the professional vibe check. Good job.
But that's really a thing, though, is that, I don't know, it's so much bullshit going into jobs and stuff, is like acting all professional and stuff. It really is just putting on this vibe that you are like that, when in person, no one actually acts like that. So,
well, if you really think about it, that's kind of what commentary is, too.
Yeah, it's commentary. You know? Streaming is like that, right? Which is, to not swerve too hard, but it's similar to like, VTubers and the like is like, I think is like the end game of that, where it's it's sort of a disassociation of self from persona, right? And
VTuber?
you sort of, everybody projects a persona as they whenever they interact with others.
Quite literally as a VTuber.
Quite literally as a VTuber, but also on commentary, also on streaming, which I'm sure both of you appreciate, sort of that interaction pattern of, to be your genuine self and to put, well, not only it's sort of a different point from that, but to put yourself out there, to project whatever you want to project into the world requires practice and requires confidence and requires sort of setting aside some of the stuff that, you may be outside of whatever you're doing and be more, fall into that role, into that seat and be comfortable in that. And, it's something that I've had a lot of experience practicing. I took a class on public speaking in high school, and that sort of ruined me forever because now I'm like this.
I know you said it, and the recording will get it, but what it actually cut out for me. I don't know if it cut out for Trey.
I'm getting occasional cutouts too.
Yeah. Did you took a class on what?
I took a class on public speaking when I was in high school.
That's what I assumed you said. But
yeah. And it sort of was, I've always been sort of like the low-key theater kid who's also a nerd, so bad combo. But I think actually all theater kids are nerds, so whatever. But I never, it was one of the first opportunities that I had to do like public speaking, and sort of learn what makes for an effective communicator. And it's bled into a lot of what I do, both professionally and here on the internet.
I will say I took public speaking in college because it was required at some point, and it had zero impact on me. So.
I'll say I was the most Chad theater kid ever.
Let's go.
No, I was never a theater kid. But
you were a Chad by not being one. I'm just kidding. The theater kids are cool. They're cool.
But I think the point that I wanted to finish with honing commentary on any percent and stuff. So that's kind of where Trey and I got our like banter back and forth with GSA doing like the constant any percent commentaries, and we're just like, hey Trey, you want to go do this? And then we just talk about whatever for an hour and a half, and then eventually people were just like, hey, you should just record this and then put it out and play Elden Ring and talk about that for 40 minutes straight all the time.
This podcast came from a multitude of things. It was that, and also just random calls we have. We have a random interesting topic, and we're like, oh my God, we're so interesting. We should record those.
Oh my God.
The classic podcasting, podcasting throughpipe.
It is cliche, but it does happen. So.
But I think that's the reason that I commentate the way I do, where it's just like, sure, like you mentioned the Larvatars and the like the bingo commentary that are more like goal oriented. Deathline comes to mind, where they talk about the goals a lot, and like you're saying, like the predictionary commentary. Where they're like going through the goals and going like, well, they, I don't know, a start seems like, but he's the slower player or they're the slower player, so maybe they'll go this way instead. Oh, but 11 blue coins in Delfino is really fast, so maybe they should, and talk about that a lot. And I'm just sitting there going like, yeah, it makes me think of this episode of the Twilight Zone, To Serve Man. You ever heard of it? And I'm just sitting there commentating with that, and I think the any percent commentary really brought that out of me. Whereas well, like
because we were so bored, we're like, we got to talk about something else.
Let's talk about To Serve Man.
Well, yeah, let's talk. Well, it's like this is so boring because I remember the grand finals of the GSA tournament. It was, sorry to flame JJ, but it was JJ versus Paper, and JJ choked the bag so hard. It was going to be a best of 3, and thank God it didn't go to. Wait, did it go to 3? No, it didn't go to 3. But JJ just sucked so bad. He's such a good player, but he's so bad. JJ
is really, really just outstanding.
But yeah, but I remember
he has more 114s than I have 115s.
He just in this finals. I was commentating with a guy I've never commentated with named Electric, and oh
wait, is that when JJ got that insane Manta?
Yes,
that's all I remember from it. So.
Yeah, and there was a third commentator. I'm so sorry, I forgot who it was, but it felt like it was just like me and Electric, and then there was a third commentator there. I'm being very disrespectful by not remembering who it was. It starts with a K, I think. And
Capelon.
It was Capelon. Capelon was in the call with us.
That's the last person it would be.
To be fair, Capelon would probably be that quiet.
True.
But I remember after the commentary, like even though it was Paper, just it was that kind of typical any percent commentary where Paper was in the lead pretty early on, and then JJ like fell way behind, and then it was just like, well, it would take a complete
disaster.
It would take an asteroid. It would take
At some point, any percent commentary devolves into it can. There's still a chance if this guy fucks up.
Yeah.
Okay. Any moment now, he's gonna fuck up. You just wait, guys. He's gonna do it.
But I remember doing that commentary, and like the first match went that way, and then the second match went the exact same way, and it was a best of 3. So we were sitting there going like, we were like with half an hour left, we were just like, so Paper wins. There's no shot that JJ wins this.
That's the thing is that okay. I have 3 closing thoughts.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
But I remember after the commentary, I'm just going to wrap this up real quick. After the commentary, the guy who I commentated with, Electric, DM'd me or messaged me afterward, or like in the post, it's like talk. I remember like he was just like super complimentary towards me, and I was sitting there going like, I was just sitting there chilling. Like I don't know what I said. I don't remember anything I did, but I remember him being like, I had a lot of fun. And I'm just like, hey, that's what I'm here for. And
that's good.
Every time I get a compliment like that, it like means the world to me. So thank you, Lego, for the compliments.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think from the commentary perspective, right? I think the most effective commentary is the one where you're synergizing with your partner, whether that's being super goal focused or whether that's being super hands off and podcasty, whatever you hit that synergize on that wavelength, right? To throw in some corporate terms there, I think that's where you want to be for when it comes to the commentary.
Not the wavelength, the brain length is the real term. On the same brain length here.
So what did you want to bring up?
All right, I have accumulated 3 closing thoughts on the whole any percent tournament and whatever type deal.
Sure, yeah.
So I agree. The Break the Record live format is really good because what is really exciting to watch and keeps you on your toes is like multiple top players going head to head. At any moment, a world record could happen. You just never know when it's going to be. That's pretty fun. And like the essence of speedrunning really is just the journey to a really good time. And you don't really get that from just like a random 1v1 of a no reset where obviously unless some miracle happens, no one's going to PB. It's just, oh, who's more consistent and like playing better on this one given day.
Yeah.
That being said though, point number 2, racing 80% is still really fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong when I say like races in general aren't, no reset. Like if I didn't think races were worth watching, I would not be broadcasting the any weekly race.
Here's the thing is, I know that you know that. I'm telling the viewer that.
Okay.
Because the viewer might be getting the idea that we don't think racing is good, but no,
racing is dope. It's fantastic.
So racing at 80% is litty, of course, we all know.
Yeah.
It's just not the most ideal thing for like a 1v1 bracket tournament because each match is the same objective. It comes down to who fucks up less. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And the final point is that, again, as Lego said, it's a lot more interesting for players like us who know what's going on and know what good movement is versus like slightly less good movement. A person new to a game or like a first-time viewer of Sunshine could not tell the difference between like if they see a 116 player and a 113 player, they would look identical to each other to that person.
Yeah, that's some of the most wild stuff is like looking at like seeing, and the weekly is a great place to see this, is like seeing SB just be a shine ahead coming out of Pianta over all everyone else, even the people nipping at his heels, is wild because you're hard pressed to find what specifically is being different there. Unless you know exactly what you're looking at. You're like, yep, this is how SB saved this time.
Honestly, like at a top level, there's like too many little niche things to explain to someone. It's like, oh, how can we save time over him? Well, he made X, Y, and Z, like different mistakes, and it's like too much to get into.
Yeah.
But
then it's fun to just try.
It's like, there's a lot of nitty gritty that you can't really get into just in commentary. Like it's just too much stuff.
But, Yeah. Uh-huh. But don't you then turn to your commentary and just like let's commentator co-host and then I feel like in that situation with you and me, Trey, I would just turn to you and go like, okay, let's try to explain exactly what just happened as fast as we can. And then
it could be fun. It could be fun to do that like super deep dive into like this is that minute moment, but also the other pull is you're in a live competition and there's other stuff that could be happening right now. And that even happens in bingo commentary where you're like, we're talking about this one specific thing and then, oh shit, they died like 4 times. We didn't even pay attention. Oh, they got like 4 blues. We didn't even see them get those 4 blues. So now we get to spend 3 minutes talking about, did they get those blues? Did they not get those blues?
How many M's do they have? We have no idea. Hopefully
Falcon
they're being
hit,
honest.
save us, please.
Yeah, Falcon hit in the chat.
And just bingo is a lot more clear what's going on. It's like, oh, okay, he's going for 40 total blues. I don't, I'm a brand new viewer to watching Sunshine. I don't know exactly what movement's like ideal and what's slightly unoptimal, but I do know like, 40 total blues or like Noki Goldbird, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
I can piece together what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the goals are more explicit and there's an easier way to track their progress with the bingo board.
And there's always there's so much comeback potential in Lockout Bingo because you could think, oh man, this guy, he's up 8-3. There's no coming back from this. And then he just happens to get sniped on 3 goals in a row. And suddenly the person who was behind has a chance to come back. So there's always a chance. And 80% though, it's like, there's always a chance if the guy ahead fails like miserably 2 times.
Well, see, it's also low. Like in any percent races, you can stream snipe. Like it's like, so the person I'm facing died twice in Rico 4. Okay, so I'm just gonna take everything really fucking safe.
Yeah. So if you're like a minute ahead, you could literally just like not go for any hard strats and be guaranteed to win. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So really fun.
I don't know, but it's how we got our start. I feel so it's a special place in my heart.
any percent races in 2014, we would do them practically daily. I don't even know how we raced so much, but it was insane back then.
Yeah, and then commentating them, like, even though we talk shit on it, it's still like, I don't know. It gave a great canvas where it's just like, we're talking about how boring it is. It's a white canvas. Mm-hmm. So you can we got
black boxes and white canvases.
And gold boxes.
That are
covered in
black boxes,
black
maybe.
ink.
And covered in black ink, yeah.
And invisible ink. For some reason.
So much going on.
And tomato anuses.
Yes,
that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you know what? The main reason I wanted to bring you on, Lego, can we just like very briefly go over like what is the climate of this current bingo season? What are we calling it?
What is the climate of Vermont?
Yeah, is it cold? You see there, it's pretty cold, right?
I'm in Seattle right now, so I couldn't tell you about the weather in Vermont. It's a little
you were there at one point.
Yeah, I was there at one point. It tends to be pretty cold.
It's probably like, a degree warmer on average now because of climate change, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sid's actually in the bingo. It's not a tournament, it's a league. Is it a league?
Yes. Yeah. So the bingo league was sort of a brainchild. So I joined the bingo scene in general at the tail end of the Invasion tournament, where I sort of did my first little tea thing on commentary and whatnot. And then after that, there was sort of a little bit of a lull, and I remember suggesting to Ramato, and I think Ramato had sort of similar thoughts of what if it was a league instead. And so season 1 started almost immediately afterwards, and now we're on season 4. So it's been 4 seasons of bingo so far. We've got 24, I want to say, a little less than that, competitors in season 4, playing weekly matches. There's no divisions anymore. It's all ELO based. So we're matching up people based on sort of how relatively strong they are compared to each other. Feeds into a tournament bracket at the end, cash prize for Division 1. So
that's
some
so
stuff
cool.
stayed the same, stuff's changed.
I think the ELO system is so dope.
Yeah. I love it. I was a big advocate for switching to the ELO system in season 3. Partially it was in response to some players in Division 3 who were very, very, very strong. And some players
we don't know who this is. We're putting them in Div 3. Oh, they're beating everyone? Okay, well.
And there's always sort of this problem, I think, from a viewership perspective of, is every match in bingo going to be competitive? No, not every single match is going to be a competitive match in bingo. But can we increase the number of competitive matches? Because a lot of people join the league in order to have to play Super Mario Sunshine
to have fun.
Way. And to have fun is another one.
Believe it or not.
But also to sort of challenge themselves, right? To see, hey, can I play well? And I think that it was a failure mode for the league when we had players who weren't having competitive matches. Either because that they were, too weak compared to the other folks in their division, or too strong compared to the other people in their division. And so the ELO system, in my opinion, helped us cross those barriers and be like, you know what? If someone's having a tear of a season, they can play some really good people now, right? And they're playing more competitive matches. And the theory was it would make for better bingo players over time, because now you're playing a wider variety of opponents and you're playing better opponents, and you're improving your skills. And so we did it in season 3. We upset some people because we seeded some folks too low. And we're doing season 4 right now, and we're using some of the same stuff, and we use some stuff that we learned from season 3. And I think that it's resulted in some really competitive matches. The first 2 weeks have been really, really good bingo.
Yeah, I commentated a match with Sid. So how many matches have you done so far? 2?
Played? Yes.
So you've done 2 matches, and then how many matches do you do before the bracket starts?
You got to do at least 5.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Easy.
And there's 5 weeks, but you can do up to 2 matches a week. So you could play as many as 10. Or
I played one first week. I played one second week, and I've actually taken 0 this week, so that I don't have to play this week. And then one of the next 2, I'll do 2. Easy.
Yeah, that is also really good, because having to always have at least 1 a week, it was really hard to schedule sometimes.
Yeah, no, and that was one of the things we changed in the season 3 was was that flexibility. And that was one of the feedback points that we heard from season 2 was it was a long season. And
it was so long. I was so burnt out like halfway through.
And it was too much. It was arguably too much bingo, which I know it's impossible to have too much bingo. But it was, I think, too much bingo. And so the idea was with season 3 is that we could give you that flexibility, right? You only had to play a certain number of matches over that time period, but you could play 2 matches one week, 0 matches the next. You knew you were going to be busy, take a 0 match, and it's not punishing you in any way. And then you can play 2 matches the next week and be fine.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I made a good choice not entering the season because I found out they removed the one format I actually won the season I joined.
Connect 5. Yeah.
Yeah. The only 2 matches I won, they were both Connect 5. So they're like, you know what? If Trey can win this one, we got to take it out. That's kind of cheese category. So
yeah, Connect 5's a weird format in that it's because of the way that lockout cards get generated compared to non-lockout cards. So there's actually multiple different goal lists depending on whether you're playing non-lockout or lockout or 2v2. And the lockout goal list doesn't prevent like obscene synergies from showing up in a single row, column, or diagonal. Whereas the non-lockout cards do. They prevent like all Serena goals from appearing in a line, or all of one type of goal from appearing in a particular bingo row. Mm-hmm. And so that meant that cards were very vulnerable to find the fastest string of 5 goals and do it. Or find the fastest string of 5 goals, do 3 of them, force your opponent to do 2 that suck, and then win the rest of the game on the rest of the card.
You could do a lot of tricky stuff to win that category. I think my strategy was I wouldn't even pick a row or column immediately. And then as it played out a little bit, I sort of saw what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. Make an executive decision. Do I just suddenly rush this one thing or just purely go for like the 13 total? And then, seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah. No, and I think there's value in that format. I think there's some interesting strategic potential. It's just too abusable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That I think it results in less fun matches overall. And so I think that's why we ended up getting rid of it in season 3. And we've kept it sort of out of the match format pool for season 4.
It can also be kind of BM.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where it's just like, you sure you got those 2 goals? Yeah, I got Connect 5. So good job, dude. I just want to acknowledge obscene synergies is the funniest. You sasaid obscene synergies, and I wrote it down.
You wrote it down. The obscene
literally
synergies.
Wrote it down.
Well, and it's true, and the fun thing about the bingo formats is they can force you to think about cards in a different way. And they sort of add more longevity to a particular goal list. But and that sort of is the perennial problem with Invasion is like, how do you ensure that cards are fair?
Yeah.
And how like can you the balance of the speed bullies versus the routing geniuses and
the speed.
And how do you?
Are there any speed bullies in bingo other than like JJ?
You don't typically see people who are exclusively speed bullies, but in some matchups, you'll have a player who is noticeably faster than another player.
Yeah.
And the slower player needs to route around their opponent's speed and sort of take advantage of mistakes or take advantage of more obvious plays to work around that. And so, Invasion is probably the closest to a format like Connect 5 in terms of its like potential for being unfair from the get-go. But I think it's less likely just because there's more goals. It's more fixed in terms of what ordering things need to go in. And it's rare for a card to be super unfair, like a Connect 5 card can be.
Yeah.
I think that row control is the most big brain category of them all.
I'd believe it. Because a lot of big brain folks love row control.
I haven't won a single row control. Like whatever scrim I've done, I'm just like, dude, I always get outplayed at some point.
That's weird because I think like row control is like the easiest. I did play a row control just like this past week and sucked, but like I feel like whenever I play row control, it's the simplest to like figure out what to do. At least at the start.
It's the fewest goals, at least.
Yeah, you're just like, you're focusing on 9, and that's kind of it.
Well, it's 9 until you get sniped, and then you get sniped again. Then it's suddenly 11. Then
well,
12.
Then it's 9 for them. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's still 9, but it's not your 9. You're gonna lose.
True.
9 goal routes and whatnot. Yeah, row control's a lot of fun to watch, because there's not only those 9 goal routes, but also, all right, what are the easy goals in a row? What are the hard goals in a row? What can you trade away? What can you focus on? How do you fit it all together? And how do you get to 3 rows? Is challenging. They're always fun to watch. They're fun to commentate too, because there's just a lot of variability in how you might approach a card.
Well, one thing about last week that was interesting, there wasn't a single regular lockout match.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The way that formats are selected have changed. It's all randomized now, but you ban particular formats. So each player can blind ban a format from the list.
Yeah.
So it just randomly worked out that enough people banned regular lockout, and the randomizer chose formats other than it.
I
might be old school, but I think regular lockout might be my favorite format of them all. Old school lockout.
I see the interesting, like you guys were talking about invasion and stuff. I love. Okay, maybe I don't love commentating invasion, but I love thinking about invasion. You know, where it's just like I love just like, oh, I could route 4 goals from the left side to the right, and I can't click any of them yet, but. I'll establish my base later on or something. Like, I love thinking about invasion. Playing it, I obviously don't play much bingo lately.
It's really scary to play it.
Oh, for sure.
Because you can have like this really solid plan going in, and you can route in multiple things at once because there's no fear of being sniped because they're stuck on their side of the board at first. But then suddenly they click across the entire board in one swoop, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah, no, and that's I like invasion for that very reason, because you have that sort of ability to craft your play style and how you're going to go for particular clicks based on your opponent. And you have a lot more leverage for when am I going to delay? When am I going to click? How am I going to use the asymmetric information game to my advantage? Which is how when I was in the league, how I had to play a lot of my matches, because I just didn't have the speed. I was not competitive in terms of raw gameplay, so I had to work around my gameplay faults by being a better router and playing the asymmetric information game better.
I think what I appreciate most about bingo is just like the breathing room, or like I can't think of a better phrase for it, but like the foreplay of certain the
foreplay of bingo
of certain different variations of it, where it's just like lockout, you're immediately into it, and you're just like up against whoever. It's like, oh, we're racing for this goal, It could be like a snipe fest. But it's just like draft and invasion. Once you establish your side in invasion, there's this breathing room. There's this like one person's established the side, and the other person just like has the freedom to kind of do whatever for like 11 minutes.
Yeah,
or something.
And you have that initial rush for starting position, and then that denouement, and then it builds all the way back up again as you get to like the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, and then they start interacting with goals, or or interacting around each other or something. But then also draft has the same kind of thing, where it's just like you draft your initial goals that all get unclicked at 30 minutes in, and like if you don't have those goals, the other person then can go get them. But for the first 30 minutes, they are your goals to get. And like you can treat it as, these are the goals I'm going to get. I'm going to route them very well, and I'm going to route in other ones, or I'm going to ignore these and just kind of play the board otherwise. Like there is not an initial interaction between the players, and that's what I appreciate about those different things, because then later on it's like pent up. It's like there's
you have to interact. You have to now respond to each other. You don't have that luxury anymore to set up. You now need to knock down all the dominoes and get to the finish line.
And to bring it back to commentary for a sec, and the fact that I like doing the any percent commentary and just kind of freewheeling it and talking about whatever the hell you want. I censored myself. I don't know why. Whatever the fuck you want. Whatever the fell you want. But during draft and stuff, like, sure, you can do he's planning to do this, or they're planning to do that, or she's planning to do this. But you can also, during that foreplay.
We'll call it the foreplay. Why not?
Yeah, whatever. During that moment, during that time, you can just kind of talk about whatever. And I can just talk about whatever. Sometimes.
Or just talk about the players and their backstory and how tall they are and how handsome they are.
Or what you had for lunch, or what's the last episode of Twilight Zone you watched.
Or what their gaming resumes are.
Ooh. Now that's a good transition.
Yes. And it's my turn to ask the question.
Go for it, Trey.
Ooh, here we go.
All right. You've totally never heard this question before, Lego. So here we go.
What, the gaming resume? What are you talking about?
Be ready for some serious improvisation here. You're not ready for this.
All right.
All right. So you're walking into a building made of Legos. I know I'm creative. All right. But it's still.
Are they all Are they all the same color Lego, or are they all? It's all like white, rainbow Lego.
All marble Legos. All right.
Okay.
So it's still expensive, and Legos on them own. Legos alone are pretty expensive, but these marble Legos are even more expensive. Okay, whatever. Fuck this. All right. You're in this building. You're taking an elevator up to the 40th floor. No one has ever seen above the 30s yet. This is pretty scary. 40 floors up. And you're walking into a big room, big door, big ass.
Walking into the ass.
Sure, why not?
Marble ass. There's this big, on the 40th floor, there's this big marble ass you have to walk.
Marble ass.
Wait, no, there's a big...
No, it's like one of those, it's the Lego, it's like the Lego legs, right? You have to walk
Legoland.
Yeah. You have to, it's a big marble tomato anus.
It's actually this is the ass hotel from Assassin's Creed.
No.
This is from Lego Assassin's Creed, coming out soon. All right, so across the big room, you see someone, a shadowy figure, a mysterious figure at the table, ready to interview you, and it is none other than Ramato himself, the bingo god extraordinaire.
Oh man!
And Ramato's going to interview you for a position at Gaming Inc., which for some reason takes place in a building made of marble Legos and a Lego, whatever.
Sometimes it's in the desert.
Yeah, or like in an alley.
Who knows?
But today it's in this building. You're applying for Gaming Inc. Before the interview can start, though, you're handing Ramato your resume. Not just any resume, your gaming resume full of your greatest gaming achievements. What goes on that resume?
Good question. So I've touched on a lot of elements, I think, of the resume so far. My RuneScape contributions, actually, this is a good avenue to talk about some of the other contributions I made. So I've mentioned Guild Wars 2 a couple times. I was a raider in that game. I used to train raiding.
Ooh.
I used to teach people how to get through raid bosses in Guild Wars 2. I built a website that helps you maximize how much money you make from certain Guild Wars 2 activities. That was fairly popular.
On the Sunmar website, was it?
That wasn't on the Sunmar website. Okay. It was called Silver Wastes, and it calculated how much money or in-game cash you got from certain loot items. And you could maximize that by opening them on different level characters. Because different level characters had different types of loot. And so if you opened it on a lower level character, you got better loot that was worth more. So you would have this character that was a lower level than you, that you would move all of your items over, and then you would open them all up on that character, and you would get better, more worth more loot. I built a website called Ward Score for League of Legends that calculated how often you warded in a game, and determined like almost like an ELO style ranking for how often you ward. And that got me an internship at Riot Games.
Wow.
I built
a real job, not just Gaming Inc.
Like a real job, not just Gaming Inc., but a real job. It's a resume, right? This the contributions I can bring. We've already talked about SMS.bingo and the IL viewer. We've talked about, commentary that I've done. A part of me, I figured the Sunmar site wasn't your first rodeo with making websites. No, it's interesting. It's one of those things that, that I've, because I have this background as a software engineer, I find these opportunities semi-randomly whenever I get into a game to build tools and stuff for it. And it just so happens that I've done a fair bit for Sunshine. I've done a fair bit for Guild Wars 2. I've done some for League. I did some for Magic Arena. So like the Magic the Gathering, their online card version. I helped build some of the tools for like tracking your collection and your stuff like that. So I contributed to that too. As far as games specifically, because this is all sounding like an actual resume now, as opposed to
so that was your real resume.
That was my real resume. You joke. I actually did partially get a position as a volunteer tax preparer manager person by mentioning my work on the Sunshine community. Wow, that's sick. And sort of coordinating volunteers. So I leveraged that for a real world position. So it's all coming back together. But as far as gaming resumes go, I would say that I've played so many different MMOs, and I've played so many different Mario games that I've got a keen platforming sense and grinding sense that I'm willing to push it out for those rare drops. And achieve top level gearing potential, I know, right? Ramada was impressed. No, I just enjoy. I think the my biggest aspect that would be on my gaming resume is I don't think there's a game I've met that I haven't enjoyed, at least in some level, or can't find some enjoyment in.
You never played a single shitty game in your life?
I mean, shitty is a relative term, right? I've played some bad games.
Let me introduce you to a little game called Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But but even there's rarely a game that's devoid of anything of value, right?
True. There's always something to glean. Even like the games that the AVGN reviews, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's kind of interesting, like what leads it to being so bad. So
yeah, no, and there's always something to learn from every game, I think, and that's what I enjoy. Is I enjoy looking at games not only as entertainment but also as like, oh, it's cute that this is the way that this works, and it makes sense why they would do it that way, and how does that change, and how can we exploit it, right? Or how does the fact that we've built these elaborate metagames on top of the things we love matter, and how is that so interesting? Like that's where I feel like the most comfortable. And if I can contribute back to those communities somehow, that's where I like to be.
Dope.
That was the most well thought out resume.
It's almost like he already knew this question was coming.
That is crazy.
I actually, so yes, I knew the question was coming. I did not have that pre-prepared. I don't have my resume. I can't distribute you a paper copy of this resume.
I don't mean to undermine you. It was a great answer.
But there is the follow up. You answered the. You know what? Flying colors.
He already kind of answered it, didn't he?
Did he answer the special skill?
Sort of. Like, what's your special skill in gaming?
So yeah, I sort of answered that, but I think the answer that I have is I've always felt like if I get something out of something, I want to give something back, right? And I felt that way about almost every game that I've sort of had a meaningful involvement with. If I got a lot out of RuneScape, so I became a RuneScape sort of admin for one of the big guilds. I felt that way about Guild Wars 2, so I went out and trained a bunch of people on how to play Guild Wars 2. I felt that about League of Legends, so I built Ward Score. I felt that about Magic the Gathering, so I helped modernize this particular tool. I felt that about Sunshine, and so I got involved pretty heavily. I would probably argue that my biggest quote unquote gaming skill is my desire to go out and do stuff to make it better for others. Because if I get into it, I want to leave it better than how I found it. And I feel like that philosophy has treated me very well. And it's not just going out there and doing stuff on a whim. It's to go out there and just do stuff. Because a lot of times we talk about the stuff that we want to do or want to see or want to have happen. And it's a little much to expect everybody to throw themselves into doing that task. There's only so many hours in the day. There's just so many priorities that people have, that it's not fair to expect every person who has like a novel idea to go out and make it a reality. But if I can help do that, if I can see that need and I have that time and I have that energy and I can help provide that, whether that's, tools, whether that's commentary, whether that's organizational support, whether that's broadcasting support, the key aspect is just doing it. And even if it's kind of crappy at the start, like looking back on even the first SMS Weekly restream was, it was awful. I was still learning all the tools, and I was learning, how to get everything, put how I wanted to. And I was experimenting with this new software, and it wasn't working right, and all of that. But I did it anyway because I felt like something was better than nothing there. And now it's gotten a lot better. And same thing with Bingo is I put myself out there and I did it. And I don't want to take credit for it, but I would argue that Sunshine Bingo from an organizational perspective has gone from, 2 or 3 people now to a whole dang team of wonderful volunteers who are now helping to take up the mantle.
Yeah, it's funny thinking back. Originally, it was just like me and Iced.
Yeah.
It was like, how did anything get done when it was just us?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and we're all not going to be around forever. As morbid as that might sound,
I will be. I'll live forever.
You're a forever. You're an eldritch
I'm immortal,
now
but you guys might not be.
Yeah, but it, and you think about can we make it better, and can we make it consistently better, and can we make it so that others can come after us and do better work, and contribute more back to the scenes that they love, to the games that they love, to the communities that they love. That's what I want to help enable, right? I want to get people involved. I want to get the community together. I want to reach out to new people. I want to bring them in and show them how wonderful this game can be, whether it's whatever game, right? But especially Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube. And enabling people to do that is what I want to do more of, and what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah, and you know what? People don't realize that the shelf life of a given generation in any sort of gaming community, it's always much shorter than you expect it to be.
100%.
Because you can look at any like snapshot moment, like transport yourself, you're in 2015 now, and you can just sort of be there like, the way the Sunshine community scene is right now is how it will be forever. When in actuality, it'll be that way for a few months and sort of like morph over time. People fade away, people come in.
Ship of Theseus.
It's always just
it's
like
rare.
Yeah. It's always like slowly changing. And so whenever you think that your time is coming to an end on enjoying this thing you're involved in, you want to leave it, like you said, better than you found it, and sort of like set it up for the next generation to continue doing their thing. It's hard to think that way though, because you tend to in the moment be like, oh, how the present is right now is just how life always is. But
yeah, it's an anomaly to stick around for as long as you guys have in any game, really, and in any community. And so
we're weird.
we're
weirdos here.
I know that we're making it sound like this is like a giant swan song from you. I have no intentions of leaving the Sunshine community. I am fully 100% committed to Sunshine for the foreseeable future. Even if I'm not doing runs, even if I'm probably the most committed Sunshine player who has done the least amount of runs.
Wait, you're saying you're not going to invest time into Arthur?
Oh, I'm so disappointed.
That Arthur is going to be... Look, we're getting up to Friday, maybe. Ooh. Maybe I'll do some more runs.
Maybe Friday.
Friday.
When's the ward equivalent of Arthur? You know?
When's the ward equivalent of Super Mario Sunshine? There's still so much to do. And I think Sunshine is on the up and up. We've had a rough past couple of months, but I think we're coming out the other side of it. We've got lots of new folks coming in.
Months, half a year.
The last year's been rough for various reasons, but we'll get into that right now.
Well, we don't need to get into it right now, but I want to just say I think we should be optimistic about Sunshine
for sure,
and about all these sort of games, and whatever game community you're part of is on the up and up, and you just gotta, the best thing to do is to just do it. Like, I didn't ask for permission to start broadcasting the weekly race. I had a stream key, so I did it. And that's sort of the type of gumption that you kind of want to have. If you see something that you can make it better.
She said the gumption word.
Gumption, yeah, it's a good word.
I got excited for something else. Yeah. I'll ask.
But if you see something that you can do to make your community better, you should do it. Whether that's Sunshine or anything else, like that's applicable to the real world as well. But that sort of energy and enthusiasm is what we need more of. And if you're don't have that energy and you're not able to do that sort of thing, then just support the people who are, because they feed off of that, and that spurs them to do more.
Beautifully said. But I have one final question for you, Lego.
Okay.
And this is, I wasn't excited about you saying the gumption word. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, why'd you make that noise?
I made that noise because I wanted to ask a final question, and I think this is the greatest final question to ask. So you have the stream key for Super Mario for the Sunshine community Twitch channel.
I do.
And pretty much everybody that's had the stream key in the past has streamed to it by accident.
Oh, yeah. We do talk about that. There was one time I was going to stream Double Dash, and I accidentally streamed to Sunshine community. Yeah.
Hey, I used to have the stream key, and I was streaming, I think I streamed Bingo actually to it. So it wasn't too far off, but it was supposed to be
it wasn't a different game at least.
Yeah.
That's good.
So Lego, have you ever streamed to the Sunshine community Twitch channel by accident?
No comment.
What's that mean?
Interesting.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Now I really want to know.
I'm so confused. All right.
Unfortunately, VODs have a 2-week shelf life. That's all I'll say on that one.
He streamed Arthur. He streamed.
I just don't stream enough. It's sort of the cosmic problem. And after I get out of tax season, because I'm preparing taxes on a volunteer basis, I don't want to. It's complicated, but after tax season's over, which is like the silliest thing to say, I want to get back into streaming more regularly, just because it's a lot of fun, and I want to play more Sunshine and play more Ocarina of Time Randomizer, and that'll be a future Lego problem. For now, it's I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and gotta get out of the avalanche of work.
And you know what, listeners, if you sound interested in this bingo talk we've had, and you're not really you haven't really seen much bingo, check out the Twitch channel's Sunshine Community or Bingo-thon. And occasionally there will be some matches on there. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. Yep. We're, season 4 well underway. Week 3 starting during recording. Week 4 will be starting the week that this goes up, if I have my timing correctly.
This goes out on Sundays. Right.
Yes, it goes out on Sundays. So you probably might be able to catch the last match of the day if you head there right now. But you'll see week 4 will be starts on Wednesdays and goes through the rest of the week. You can join the Discord, sms.bingo/Discord, and you can see all of the matches. We have them all up there in the schedule, and you can hang out with all the cool bingo folks.
See, I knew this podcast was going to be so easy. Like when Trey was just like, "Hey, we should get Lego," I was just like, you know what? We talked about having Lego on a few months ago. He'd be totally down. We'll figure it out when the timing was. It was easy to plan. It's great. I knew it was going to flow based on the OOT race we did months ago. I remember going into it. I was just like, we might be here for 8 hours, but I know we'll have a grand time. Because I know that you're obviously the commentator professional, and same with Modest Tomato being from Tetris and commentary for that.
Tetris professional in his own right.
Tetris professional.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And then me being the Sunshine commentator, I'm just like, hey, this will flow. This will be easy. And
I enjoyed that. That was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and that was 8 hours. That was hanging out in a call with people that you don't really talk to a lot.
Wait, Lego, you did get fire skip, right?
Hell yeah, I did. Did it take inordinately long? Yes. Did I get it? Also yes.
I'm proud of you.
Hey, it was worth it. I had to mute. I had the video up on one side of the screen. I had my emulator up on the other. I was watching. I was like, okay, this is how I have to do it. This is how I have to do it. And I turn it back on and I'm hearing Sid and Tomato talk about something random. And they're like, oh, you're back. What's going on? And I'm like, I'm still doing fire skip. It's like, hey, I got it.
You totally saved time with it. So good job.
Well, when I'm doing runs like that, especially blind, it feels almost like we did an Odyssey blind run, a blind any % run, and I wanted to do Moonskip. And so I spent half an hour on Moonskip. And my GB, Gravity Beetle, who we were racing against, went up, did the internals of the moon and got ahead of me. But I did Moonskip. So I actually did the any % race. I won the any % race because I did the any % route. I didn't want to cop out and do the no major, no skips or whatever. If the route says to go do fire skip, I'm going to do fire skip, even if it takes me 5 times as long, because hey, that's the route. I want to experience the route. I don't want to experience the cop out and get the slingshot and make it easy.
Hey, my Twitch bio or my Twitter bio says whatever, SMS veteran and speedrunner at heart. I feel like you're definitely a speedrunner at heart, for sure.
It's games are fun when you get to do stuff that you don't normally do in them, right?
You're right.
And
yeah.
I've hit that eye target not actually that many times. I never played OOT as a kid, but it's just fun. It's fun to do the speed stuff, even if it's slow. You get that sense of accomplishment when you do it the first time, and then maybe you come back and you do it again, and we do another glitchless OOT run, and we get better times.
Exactly. But but as I was saying, the fact that going into that race with 3 commentators, I knew that we were going to be having a fine time. We weren't being black for talking and stuff, and I knew you coming on here talking for 2 hours going to be easy as shit. So
yeah, no, it was an absolute pleasure. Love to be back anytime you want me.
This was great. I had a grand time. Thanks for coming. I guess I'll wrap it up. Trey, do you want to wrap it up? What's up?
The sky is up, first of all, and second of all, we are on Spotify and Google Podcast and the YouTube channel Sid and Trey.
Yeah,
and where you can catch all of the episodes, including a playlist with season 1.
True.
Yes, all 90 so far. Quite the number.
That's a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no shortage of me talking to Sid content out there. So
I don't talk to Trey. He just talks to me.
Yeah. I'm talking to a wall over here and just kind of I'll acknowledge he exists, I guess.
It's Steven Sausage Roll. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, just get out of here.
Get the Sid auto responder on and just press the button whenever you need a little Sid pithy.
The Sid soundboard just turns on.
Yeah. Right, but anyway,
Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a good one.
Have a good night,
See
everyone.
you next week.